We'll get started. Let me first introduce myself. Some of you I know, some of you I apparently don't know, and I look forward to getting to know. But my name's Randall Rollinson. I'm president of LBL Strategies, and I have been working with Tamara now for a few years to really study this intersection of strategy and performance excellence. So look forward to sharing with you as we go along. Tamara?
My name is Tamara Fields Parsons. My voice is a little rough today, so bear with me for that. As Randy said, I met Randy about 5 years ago. You'll hear a little bit more about that later on. I am an educator with LBL Strategies and really excited to talk to you today about the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. My background has been for many, many years in excellence in the healthcare and in the services industry. So I'm excited to get to know you, share a little bit more about the program. So we'll start with what is a Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. The words are pretty self-explanatory, but a little bit of background about this. The word Baldrige is there because the certification is actually conferred by the Baldrige Foundation. So that's the National Baldrige. It's tied, of course, to the Baldrige National Quality Award, but it is the Baldrige Foundation that is the body that actually confers the certification. So that comes with a lot of credibility and integrity already. Performance Excellence Champions, of course, there are a lot of projects and things like that in organization that a performance excellence person, a person responsible for that, regardless of their job title, might manage. And most executives and leaders in organizations support excellence, and they believe that that's everybody's job. Each individual has a role. Um, the successful organizations that are successful in attaining excellence and maintaining that have recognized that it's important to have a champion or an internal expert that enables everyone to not only achieve excellence but also sustain it. So the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion curriculum, activities, and plan are all designed to enable and equip the champion to be that person for their organization. So what is a certified performance excellence champion? You've got a brief description in front of you. Just want to remind you of something I just said. It's not being a project manager, although those skills are incredibly helpful. And a performance excellence champion typically does manage multiple projects. The performance excellence champion is the person that is able to adapt build an excellence plan, adapt Baldrige criteria or whatever excellence model your organization is following to that organization. So customizing that proven excellence model for your organization and integrating it fully into your strategy, into the work of the organization. So it's not a course on how to be a Baldrige examiner or how to do an application for the Baldrige Award. It is truly a curriculum that equips you to champion excellence throughout your entire organization. So who should seek a certification? I imagine many of you fall into one of these areas that are listed on our slide here, and I'll let you take a look at that. There's certainly many more groups that could and should seek certification. One moment, please. So sorry. For me personally, I wish I had a course like this 20 years ago. But the folks that should seek certification are the ones that time and time again are realizing that there are multiple projects, multiple initiatives going on across the organization at the strategic level, maybe also at the operational level. And it seems very difficult to be able to manage them all to completion and sustainment. Many, many times we talk about integrating our projects, but until we did the study and research to create this course, I didn't truly understand how you integrate so that you're managing one comprehensive plan as opposed to 10, 20, and 30 minor plans. So anyone that has a role in that type of work in an organization would be ideal to seek certification. What will a performance excellence champion be able to do? There's the word again, integrate strategy management in your performance excellence systems. And you will find this to be true regardless of what management system, strategy system, performance excellence system you're using, and regardless where you are in maturity level, because many organizations might have a mature strategy management system or strategic planning process, but maybe they're in the earlier stages of formalizing their excellence system. Well, a performance excellence champion will have the knowledge and the background and the practice throughout the 10-week curriculum to be able to integrate those and actually advance both of those systems. You'll be able to build resilience into either your Baldrige journey or your excellence journey. And one of the key deliverables and key benefits for this course for the Performance Excellence Champion is you will, throughout the course, develop a custom performance excellence plan specific to your organization. That plan That plan builds upon key practices and tools from the Strategic Management Performance System course and content from LBL Strategies. It relies heavily on the Strategy in the 21st Century Second Edition manual, which is part of the required material. These are some of the key components that we incorporate during the 10 weeks into your custom excellence plan. So this is the key item that truly distinguishes the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program from other excellence training is you finish the course. Matter of fact, it's a requirement for your graduation and certification. You finish the course with a vetted and completely revised and improved custom excellence plan that you developed in conjunction with your colleagues in the class and one-on-one coaching from me as your facilitator. And that's your not only your ticket to certification, but your plan that you carry into your organization. So you're not just completing a course and taking a test. There's a lot of value in that, but the greatest value I believe you will find, and those that are pilot found, is they walk out with a completed excellence plan. So I mentioned SMPS, Strategic Management Performance Systems, and we mentioned the fact that Randy and I have been partnering for about the last 5 years. And I want to ask Randy to share a little bit about that background and the relationship between SMPS and what we call BPEC, Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion.
Thank you, Tamara. Actually, before I do that, if we could back up one slide just for a moment. And if others get back, we can call them a little bit later. But as Tamara mentioned, we've been chasing this rabbit now for 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. I was invited to go to the Tennessee Baldrige program, TNCPE, back in 2020, just before the pandemic, and spoke on strategy, and that was really my first major introduction to Baldrige. And Tamara and I immediately recognized that both of these disciplines intersect, very dramatically and very clearly. We saw that at a very high level, 40,000 square feet. And then we spent several months, really most of a year, doing a first draft and then a second draft of a crosswalk between the SMPS framework, which is a generic strategy framework, and the Baldrige criteria. Following that, we said, okay, we need to get more specific about how these things link to one another. So this is, let's go into that next slide. That's great. And so, we started saying, okay, let's show specifically and go ahead and build it out, if you will. No, I'm sorry. Leave it there. That's right. You're right. My bad. How does this really relate to, how do the two frameworks relate? So we wrote, I led a team to do a second edition of our textbook. Tamara and I collaborated for a couple of years on really plotting that out. So I'm going to say more about that in a minute. but anyone, and many of you have gone through the program, know that this comes from a rich history. Strategy management goes back, millennia, to Alexander the Great and Sun Tzu, and then all the developments. And I'm not going to go through those now. Really, most recently, until ChatGPT hit at the end of last year. So what we're talking about here is a proven discipline, many useful frameworks in and of itself. But when you begin to say, what is the intersection of strategy and performance excellence, that has been less clear. So Tamara, let me come to you now. Oh, no, I forgot, I got one more. So the strategy management system, let's go ahead and, flush that out. These are the 15 tasks that are involved in the strategy management system. Again, I say generic. Someone's here I know from that's gone through the balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard is another framework. We look at that as being part of phase 4, the strategic operating plan. People look at these things differently, but this is the framework we use for our certification program, and we've plotted very carefully now where the intersections are of strategy management and performance excellence. To you.
So what you see here on this slide is the Baldrige model, the framework, if you will. It's one diagram that captures an enormous amount of information. When you think about, and I know some of you are very familiar with the Baldrige criteria, but the Baldrige criteria itself is a series of questions. Doesn't really tell you how to do anything, but what it does do is set out in very clear terms the criteria to meet in a non-prescriptive, systematic way. So it asks you questions like, how do you accomplish your strategic plan? How do you allocate resources? How do you listen and learn to your customers? Who are your customers? What are their key requirements? There's around 200, give or take 10 or 20 questions if you take the criteria comprehensively. So when you take those questions and line it up with the specific components and information within the 15 modules of the SMPS, what we came up with was the crosswalk, or is the crosswalk. We updated that with the second edition of Strategy in the 21st Century, and it's actually a key component. It's the foundation for the course, and you will hear about it many times and start to see those intersections throughout. It's the very intersection of the key components and key tenets, if you will, of both SMPS and the Baldrige criteria for excellence that make this a course that allows you to integrate both strategy and excellence into one comprehensive approach. I could talk about this for a long time, but you will see that throughout the course. Now, one of the things that Randy mentioned was how we identified all the intersections. That was a painstaking but very fulfilling process for both of us. When you look in the Strategy in the 21st Century manual, you'll see call outs in the margin, and where there are specific items identified in the text of the manual, there's a related and linked call out to a very specific unique question within the Baldrige criteria. That is how clearly aligned it is. And that, again, serves as the foundation for the course itself. So what does the course look like? What are some of the details around the course? First, we want to share with you the requirements for the course. Stage 1 is optional, but highly recommended. And it sounds like many of you are either in the SMPS course or have graduated, but is to complete the Strategic Management Performance System Certification Program. It gives you a very solid foundation on key successful tools for strategy management and performance management. So there are some items listed underneath there that are more descriptive. Same thing for stage 2. What is required for certification? We will build upon the key components and tools and knowledge from the SMPS stage 1, and we will candidate for certification is required to complete the course. And in order to do that, you will need a specific organization. And if possible, I'd recommend the one that you live and breathe and work in right now, although sometimes that's not possible. So a consultant might use another organization. And you'll work through that. You'll complete an organizational profile. It's an abbreviated set of 11 questions that just defines your organization. And then you will, throughout the 10 weeks, create that final presentation of your custom excellence plan. That includes a set of recommendations and an action plan that you present to your colleagues in the course, as well as executives from both the Baldrige Award Program and the Baldrige Foundation. And it will be ready for you to present to your leadership when the time is right. This is just a snapshot of that abbreviated organizational profile. They're pretty basic questions, but once you start answering them, you find out there are a little bit more to answering the questions than at first glance. These are the required materials for the course. I've mentioned the manual several times at this point, but it's Strategy in the 21st Century, second edition. The first edition, if you happen to have that, does not have the intersection with Baldrige, so this is critical. And the Baldrige framework for excellence framework. It's the Baldrige criteria book. This is available in 3 different versions: education, healthcare, and then everything else. So those are our required materials for the course. Randy, you want to just talk us through what they would learn in stage 1, the recommended stage?
Yes, and for many of you, you know what this is, and for you that have gone through the course, as I look through these now, kind of highlight the key points, kind of make a note to yourself, do you feel confident now that you completed the program? For those of you that are in the program now, I think we're through 3 of the 10 sessions. We're not that far into it, but you should begin to see some of how this fits together and your confidence level going up too. That's my hope. But for those of you that are new to us and that we don't know, the SMPS program has been around. Well, I first started doing this work in 1985, and the SMPS program at George Washington University has been around for over 10 years. So we've been doing this sort of work a long time. And what we've learned from all of that is people who go through our course, we want them to come out to be able to lead an entire strategic planning and management process. We want you to understand the kind of the principal developments. I showed that slide earlier about the history of strategy management. Well, between the book, the textbook, and the course content, you'll come out of this with a well-rounded understanding of the principal developments in the field. Certainly, strategic planning is driven by strategic thinking and focusing on opportunities that really match up with what make you special. Foresight is the hottest topic in the field today. Understanding what's coming at us, looking at alternative scenarios. We begin to do that work in this course, but we have a separate deep dive on foresight apart from this. Getting everybody on the same page, aligned, including aligning the operating model is key. Getting the culture aligned, the operating model, the culture, the initiatives, all moving together is the key to all of this. So many times strategy plans go on the shelf, they don't get executed. They fail for many different reasons. And we've looked at that and have tried to address it directly. In the end, you got to be able to measure and manage what makes the most sense to guide decision making. So we talk about building an agile management system, and then ultimately getting us to the point where our purpose drives our governance, and our governance drives our strategy, and their strategy drives budgeting. Getting that sequencing correctly. That's the SMPS course.
So the Certified Performance Excellence Champion course, and these serve as the instructional objectives, is by the end of the 10-week curriculum, you'll be able to integrate your Baldrige or excellence focus with your strategy management systems. And the integration of those, the complete and fluid integration of those, will allow you to help transform your organization, because it's no longer projects, it's the way you're moving forward. build resilience into those plans, into your programs, and very importantly, into your outcomes. You'll be able to build facilitation competency. So facilitating not just meetings or exercises or projects, but facilitating agreement, facilitating consensus, facilitating understanding, all the things that underpin a successful and sustained excellence program. You'll be able to prepare for challenges that teams often experience when they're preparing to meet either Baldrige criteria, excellence criteria, or just transforming period. So we spend a decent amount of time early on in the course talking about um, stakeholder values and the stakeholder value proposition, and truly getting to know not just the explicit needs and expectations, but those that we might have to dig a little bit for in order to create engagement. And that's what is going to strengthen our movement forward with our plan. Also, you'll able to articulate your organization's story, be able to tell what's going on and why, so that that also creates further engagement and people want to be part of the excellence journey because you're able to clearly tell them what's in it for them, not just the bigger picture of the organization. And I think one of the most valuable things, at least the most valuable thing I learned years ago, and that is how to think like a champion in any situation. Those are the key objectives that will be able to achieve. Now, how are we going to do that? How is it actually structured? Each of the 10 modules is comprised of a learning objective, very much like SMPS, a reading assignment in either the strategy in the 21st century second edition or the criteria, many times both. There's some extra reading material if you want to learn more. Knowledge sharing, which occurs each week, skills development, and then the application of those knowledge and skills as you build your custom plan. So the reading assignment, just a refresher, comes from one of these two or both of these books. The knowledge sharing occurs through presentations, through discussion, live discussion, either in breakout rooms or as a full group, and in best practice sharing. The skills development, actually practicing real time with your colleagues and with the facilitators, occurs through the hands-on practices in the live class, as well as tools and templates that are provided to you each week. The application and custom plan design, which I think is the most exciting part of it, occurs through homework assignments. The homework assignments either give you additional practice, but they always will contribute to your custom plan. So you have weekly plan builds. You may start out with some notes from homework for a couple of weeks and some outlines, but those quickly take form as we progress through the 10 modules. We also, and I think this is another thing that helps set aside the BPEC or Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion course, is we do one-on-one coaching. We make ourselves available for that as needed, but we also have very specific sessions scheduled for one-on-one coaching. A concept I learned from SMPS via LBL strategies was the critical friend. In your strategy development, we've incorporated the critical friend session towards the end of the course so that one-on-one we are walking through your draft custom excellence plan. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm asking you the hard questions and helping you find solutions before you finalize your plan. And we got some really good feedback from that in our pilot.